Bismillah, alhamdulillah, salatu wassalamu ala rasulillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. In this session, we're going to do an exercise in Tableau, looking at the potential fraud in the accounts payable department. Now, if you look at the data in Excel, we see that we have the column for the accounts payable clerk, the accounts payable employee who is responsible for making the payments. We have their IDs. We have the suppliers or the vendors column where the names of the companies who are paid, the invoice amount, the amount of the bill, the invoice date, the date the bill was received, and the payment date. Now, usually the companies make the payment as close as possible to the due date. If a particular clerk is making a payment to a supplier very early and it's continuously so, then we have a question: why is this happening? Why is this supplier getting paid by a particular accounts payable clerk early? Is there a relationship between the supplier and this accounts payable clerk? Is the supplier doing a favor to the accounts payable clerk, like giving them a bribe or a kickback for making the payments early? So we want to see if there is a pattern in this data where any accounts payable clerk is paying any particular supplier early. So this is our goal. So let's go into Tableau and bring this data into Tableau so that we can start our analysis. So we go into Tableau and we bring the data, connect the data using this panel on the left side. Bring this data from Microsoft Excel. We come down here and it's the fraud data, the same data. So we bring it here. Now go to sheet 1, and on the left side we bring our mouse and we right click our mouse and we want to create a calculated field. The calculated field, we're going to name that days to pay, and the formula is going to be payment date. So if you click pay, this will automatically appear right in third bracket, minus, again, the third bracket, we want the invoice date. So payment date minus invoice date. So this is a calculation of the number of days. When was the payment made and what was the bill date? How many days between when the bill was received and when the payment was made? So this is the calculated field. And we are going to click OK. And we're going to name this sheet payment by clerk. So we name this sheet payment by clerk. Okay. Now what we're going to do, we're going to bring the vendor, drag it to the column box, and we're going to drag the accounts payable to the rows box. And we're going to double click the invoice amount. Okay. Then we're going to click this invoice amount once, and we go on top in the top panel and we click analysis, and we come down and we go to the percentage of, and we want to click column. So analysis, percentage of, column, we click here. Now we have the percentage of the time the clerk is paying So we go to the Show Me tab, and we can use this highlighted table to look at this in a more visually appealing way. And we want to change the color of this table to show it to us in red if the vendor is getting paid 100% of the time by a particular clerk. So we go down here and we go to Edit Colors, and we select red, green, gold diverging, and we want the higher numbers to be in red. So now we have the lower numbers in red. So if we click reversed and we click OK, we will see in this data that this one particular clerk, AP 0040, is paying this vendor 100% of the time. Okay, now we want to see the number of days the clerk is getting, the supplier is getting paid from the difference between the bill date and the payment date. So we create another sheet and we call this days to pay. And we drag the vendor again to the column, the accounts payable clerk to the row, and we double click this days to pay. Okay, now what we want is we want the average number of days to pay. We don't want the sum. So we come down here in the days to pay icon. We click one time, right click, and change the measure from sum to average. So we look at the average. All right. Now we want to here also look at the highlight table, and we want to change the color again. So we click color, edit colors, and we go down to red, green, gold diverging. And here now we want the lower number of days to be in red. So we don't need to do the reverse. We click OK. And now we see here that this one clerk, AP004, is getting paid or paying SLC Incorporated in 14.41 days, whereas the other vendors you see are getting paid, the number of days is 30, 40, 50 days. We also have this one vendor getting paid 15 average, on an average 15 days, but it's not getting paid by the same accounts payable clerk. So we can look at this particular table and the table that we looked at before this in one page. So to do that, we want to create a dashboard. We come down to the bottom panel and we create a new dashboard, and we drop the first table here and we drop the second table here. And now we can see this side by side. As you see here, if you bring this on top of each other, you have 100% payment by AP clerk number 0040 and this to the supplier, and we have 100%. We have 14 days, so 14.41 days as the average days number of payments, which is very low compared to the other suppliers. Okay, so here's a question mark we have. Now we want to look at this data in another way using box and whiskers plot to see if this situation is an outlier. All right, so how do we do that? We're going to duplicate this first sheet, which is payment to clerk. You come down and you right click and you duplicate this. So we have payment clerk number 2 here. We can change the visual by going to the right top and click the show me tab, and we want to look at this box and whisker plot. So we click this. Now here we see in the box and whisker plot, all the observations are down here, and we have this one observation on top, which is the 100%, which is way away from the other observations, which means this is an outlier. So this is the outlier. 100% of the time, no other supplier is getting paid 100% of the time by this one accounts payable clerk. Okay, so that's our first table. The second one, the days to pay, again, we duplicate that by coming down here, right click, duplicate. Again, we want to look at this as well using the box and whiskers plot. And we see here, again, you see this 14.41 days is an outlier again. So we want to now look at both of these box and whisker plots in the same dashboard. So we create another dashboard, and we bring both of these box and whisker plots to the same dashboard by simply dragging them. And again, we have this outlier here in the first plot, and we have this outlier here. So there is a question now. Accounts payable clerk number 40 is paying SLC Incorporated very, very early, and he is or she is paying them 100% of the time. So now we have a question here. Is there a relationship between the accounts payable clerk number 40 and the SLC company? We will now forward this to the internal auditing department for them to investigate this further. So this is the whole idea. This is why we have done this analysis, to bring this to surface if there is a problem. Okay, so this brings us to the end of this analysis.